You're doing everything right. You've got a full-time job. You're paying your bills. You're even saving a little. But it's not enough. You want more. You want to get ahead. You want to pay off debt faster, build that emergency fund, maybe finally start investing. So you start a side hustle. You sign up for DoorDash. You spend your weekends driving around town, delivering food to people who couldn't be bothered to pick it up themselves. It's not glamorous, but the app says you're making $25 an hour. Not bad for a Saturday afternoon. Or maybe you open an Etsy store. You're crafty. You make those personalized wooden signs that everyone seems to want. You spend your evenings staining and sanding and painting. You list your products. You wait for the orders to roll in. Or maybe you do Amazon FBA. You find products on sale, ship them to Amazon's warehouse, and let them handle the rest. Passive income, they call it. You're going to be your own boss. And at first, it feels great. You see the money coming in. DoorDash pays you every week. Etsy deposits your sales. Amazon sends you those beautiful payment reports. You start telling your friends, I'm making an extra $500 a month. This side hustle is changing my life. I'm finally getting ahead. But here's the thing you're not seeing. The money coming in is not the same as the money you're keeping. And after you factor in the costs, the time, and the taxes, that $500 might actually be more like $100. Or zero. Or negative. You're working for free. You just don't know it yet. Hi, what's up? And I spend way too much time thinking about side hustles. Like, probably an unhealthy amount. I've watched too many people pour their weekends into driving for Uber or making candles or drop shipping junk from China, only to realize at tax time that they actually lost money. If you're someone who's ever looked at your side hustle income and wondered why you're still broke, or if you've ever done your taxes and been shocked by how much you owe, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because what I'm about to tell you might make you angry. It might make you rethink everything you've been told about side hustles and passive income and being your own boss. But I promise you, by the end of this video, you're going to see your side hustle completely differently. Now, before we dive in, I want to make something clear. Most people think investing is about having a lot of money. The truth? It's about what you keep. I'm building a community at the Frugal Investor newsletter where we strip away the hype and focus on high-impact, low-cost wealth building. Get your copy of the 15-day blueprint for wealth and financial autonomy and join a group of like-minded investors who prioritize long-term gains over short-term trends. Link is in the description. Alright, let's get into it. The side hustle dream. Let's start with the dream. Because the dream is powerful. And the people selling the dream know exactly what they're doing. You can be your own boss. Make money while you sleep. Passive income is the path to freedom. It's everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Every guru with a course to sell is telling you that side hustles are the answer. That you just need to work a little harder, a little smarter, and you'll break free from the rat race. And look, I'm not saying side hustles are bad. Some of them are great. Some of them actually make money. Some of them can even replace your full-time job. But most of them are traps. They're designed to make you feel like you're making progress when you're actually just trading your time and your car's value for a few dollars that disappear as soon as you pay your taxes. Here's what most people don't realize. The side hustle industry is a multi-billion-dollar business. The people making the real money aren't the DoorDash drivers. They're the companies that connect the drivers to the orders. They're the platforms that take a cut of every sale. They're the gurus selling courses on how to get rich. And you're the product. You're the labor. You're the one doing the work while they take the profit. Now, that might sound harsh. But the numbers don't lie. The DoorDash delusion. Let's start with DoorDash. Or Uber, or Lyft, or any of the gig economy driving apps. You sign up. You're excited. The app says you can make $25 an hour. You do the math. $25 an hour times 10 hours a week is $250. $1,000 a month. $12,000 a year. That's real money. So you start driving. You pick up orders. You drop them off. You watch the money add up. And at the end of the week, DoorDash sends you a payment. Let's say $400. You feel great. But here's what you're not counting. First, the car. You're putting miles on your car. Lots of miles. The average DoorDash driver drives about 20 miles per hour of work. 10 hours a week is 200 miles. 800 miles a month. Almost 10,000 miles a year. The IRS says each mile costs you about 67 cents. That's gas, maintenance, tires, insurance, and depreciation. So 200 miles a week times 67 cents is $134. In hidden costs that you're not accounting for. So that $400 you made? Subtract 134. You're down to 266. Second, the taxes. As a gig worker, you're self-employed. That means you pay both sides of Social Security and Medicare. That's an extra 65% that a normal employee doesn't pay, plus your regular income tax. So let's say 25% total, just to be conservative. 25% of $400 is $100. So subtract another 100. You're down to 166. Third, the time. You spent 10 hours driving. But you also spent time waiting for orders, driving to pick up locations, dealing with traffic. Let's call it 10 hours. $166 for 10 hours of work is $16.60 an hour. That's less than minimum wage in some states. And that's before you account for the risk of an accident, the wear and tear on your body, the stress of navigating traffic. Now, here's where it gets even worse. That car you're driving? It's depreciating. Every mile you drive, your car is worth less. The average car loses about 20 cents per mile in value. So 200 miles a week is $40 a week in depreciation. $2,000 a year. When you go to sell your car, you'll get less. When you trade it in, you'll get less. When it breaks down, you'll pay more. And none of that is accounted for in your weekly DoorDash payment. So that $400 you thought you made? Your actual take-home, after expenses, taxes, and depreciation, is probably closer to $100. For 10 hours of work. $10 an hour. You could make more working at Target. The Etsy illusion now. Let's talk about Etsy. Because Etsy feels different. You're making something. You're being creative. You're building a business. You make personalized wooden signs. They're cute. They say things like, "Bless this mess," and "Live, laugh, love." You sell them for $40 each. The materials cost you about $10. So you think you're making $30 per sign. You sell 20 signs a month. That's $600 in profit. Not bad for a side hustle. But here's what you're not counting. First, the time. How long does it take to make a sign? Let's say an hour. Designing, cutting, sanding, painting, sealing, packing. 20 signs is 20 hours. Plus the time you spend listing products, answering messages, shipping orders. Let's call it 25 hours a month. $600 for 25 hours is $24 an hour. Not bad. Not great. But here's the thing. You're not counting your tools. Your saw, your sander, your paintbrushes, your computer, your printer, your shipping supplies. Those cost money, and they wear out. You're not counting your space. Your garage, your basement, your spare bedroom. That space has value. You could be renting it out. You could be using it for something else. You're not counting your marketing. Etsy takes a cut. 6.5%. Plus a listing fee. Plus a transaction fee. Plus a payment processing fee. It adds up. On a $40 sale, you're paying about $4 in fees. That's 10%. Gone. And you're not counting your taxes. Self-employment tax. Income tax. Another 25%. On that $600, that's $150. So let's do the real math. Revenue, $800, 20 signs at $40, minus materials. $200 minus Etsy fees. $80 minus taxes. $150 minus tools and supplies. Let's say $50, that's $320. For 25 hours of work. That's $12.80 an hour. Less than minimum wage in many states. And that's assuming you sell 20 signs a month. Which you don't always. Some months you sell 5. Some months you sell 0. And all those hours you spent making signs that didn't sell? Those are wasted. The Amazon FBA fantasy now. Let's talk about Amazon FBA. Because this one is the biggest trap of all. The promise is seductive. Find products that sell. Buy them in bulk from China. Ship them to Amazon's warehouse. They handle the storage, the shipping, the customer service. You collect the checks. Passive income. Sounds great, right? Here's what the gurus don't tell you. First, the competition is insane. Millions of sellers. Everyone is looking for the same products. The margins are razor thin. Second, Amazon takes a huge cut. Referral fees, fulfillment fees, storage fees, advertising fees. On a $20 product, Amazon might take $8 to $10. That's 40 to 50%. Gone. Third, you have to advertise. If you don't, nobody will find your products. So you pay for sponsored listings. Another 10 to 20% of your revenue. Gone. Fourth, you have returns. Customers return stuff all the time. For any reason. And you pay for it. The shipping, the restocking, the loss of inventory. It adds up. Fifth, you have storage fees. If your products don't sell, you pay Amazon to store them. And if they sit too long, the fees go up. Way up. Some sellers have been bankrupted by storage fees. Let's do the math on a typical Amazon FBA product. You find a product that sells for $20. Your cost to buy it from China is $5. You ship it to Amazon. That's another $1. So your cost is $6. Amazon takes $8 in fees. You spend $2 on advertising. Your total cost is $16. Your profit is $4. 20% margin. Not great, but not terrible. Now, you sell 1,000 units a month. That's $4,000 in profit. $48,000 a year. Not bad, but here's what you're not counting. The time. Finding the product. Researching the market. Negotiating with suppliers. Setting up the listing. Managing the advertising. Dealing with customer service. Handling returns. It's not passive. It's a job. A full-time job. And if you value your time at even $20 an hour, that $48,000 starts to look a lot smaller. The risk. What if the product doesn't sell? What if a competitor undercuts you? What if Amazon changes its fees? What if your supplier ships a bad batch? What if your product gets a 1-star review? All of that risk is on you. And none of it is accounted for in that $48,000 profit number. The inventory. You have to buy inventory up front. Thousands of dollars. Tied up in products that might or might not sell. That's money you could have invested elsewhere. That's opportunity cost. The taxes. Self-employment tax. Income tax. Another 25%. On $48,000, that's $12,000. Gone. So that $48,000 is really $36,000. For a full-time job's worth of work. With significant risk. And no benefits. No health insurance. No retirement match. No paid time off. Suddenly, that side hustle doesn't look so great. The psychology of side hustles. This is where it gets really interesting. Why do we do this? Why do we pour our weekends into side hustles that don't actually make money? It's because of something called action bias. We feel like we need to be doing something. Sitting still feels like failure. Investing feels passive. Building a side hustle feels active. It feels like we're taking control. But here's the thing. Activity is not the same as productivity. And doing something is not the same as doing the right thing. When you spend 10 hours driving for DoorDash, you feel like you're working hard. You feel like you're getting ahead. But if you're actually making $10 an hour, you're not getting ahead. You're treading water, and you're burning out your car in the process. When you spend your evenings making Etsy products, you feel like you're building something. You feel like you're an entrepreneur. But if you're making $12 an hour, you're not building wealth. You're just working a second job for below minimum wage. And when you spend your weekends researching Amazon products, you feel like you're investing. You feel like you're being smart. But if you're not accounting for your time, your risk, and your taxes, you're not investing. You're gambling. Here's what most people don't realize. The most profitable side hustle for most people is not a side hustle at all. It's investing in yourself. It's getting a certification that leads to a raise. It's learning a skill that increases your hourly rate at your day job. It's spending your evenings applying for better jobs. Because here's the math. If you make $50,000 a year at your day job, that's about $25 an hour. If you can get a raise to $60,000, that's an extra $10,000 a year. For the same 40 hours a week. No extra driving. No extra Etsy orders. No extra Amazon stress. That's $200 a week. For doing nothing different. Just being worth more. That's the real side hustle. Investing in yourself. The real story. Let me tell you about someone I know. Let's call him David. David was a DoorDash driver. He worked 40 hours a week at his day job, making $50,000 a year. Then he'd drive for DoorDash on nights and weekends. Another 20 hours a week. He thought he was killing it. He was making an extra $1,500 a month, or so he thought. But at the end of the year, he did his taxes. And he was shocked. He'd made $18,000 from DoorDash. But after gas, maintenance, depreciation, and taxes, his actual profit was about $6,000. For 1,000 hours of work. $6 an hour. He'd put 20,000 miles on his car. His car was worth $3,000 less than it had been at the start of the year. He'd had to replace his tires and his brakes. He'd been in a minor fender bender that cost him $1,000 out of pocket. He came to me and said, "I worked 1,000 hours for $6,000. I could have worked one weekend a month at Target and made more." I said, "You're right. You could have." He quit DoorDash. He started spending his evenings learning Excel. Advanced Excel, pivot tables, VLOOKUPs, macros. 6 months later, he got a promotion at work. His salary went from $50,000 to $65,000, $15,000 a year, for doing the same 40 hours a week. That's $30 an hour for his learning time. A much better return than DoorDash. Now, David invests that extra $15,000 a year. He's on track to retire 5 years earlier than he would have. All because he stopped driving for DoorDash and started investing in himself. The action plan, all right, so you're convinced. You want to stop wasting your time on side hustles that don't pay. But what do you do instead? Here's the action plan. Step 1. Calculate your real hourly rate for any side hustle you're considering. Do the real math. Not just the revenue. All the costs. Gas, maintenance, depreciation, supplies, fees, marketing, returns, taxes. And your time. Be honest. Most side hustles pay less than minimum wage. That's not a side hustle. That's a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with hobbies. But don't pretend they're building wealth. Step 2. Compared to your day job, what's your hourly rate at your day job? Not your salary divided by 40. Your actual hourly rate. After taxes, after commute, after everything. For most people, their day job pays $20 to $40 an hour. That's the number to beat. If your side hustle pays less than that, why are you doing it? You'd be better off working overtime at your day job. Or getting a second job that pays more. Step 3. Invest in yourself. The best side hustle is investing in your own skills. What could you learn that would increase your value at work? A certification? A software skill? A language? A management technique? Spend your side hustle time learning. Not driving. Not making crafts. Not dropshipping. Learning. Because learning pays forever. A new skill can increase your income for the rest of your career. Step 4. Look for leverage. The best side hustles have leverage. They pay you for your time once, but they pay you many times. A digital product, a course, a book, a piece of software, a YouTube channel. These take time to build. But once they're built, they can pay you forever. That's the dream. Not driving for DoorDash. Building assets that work for you. Step 5. Know when to quit. If your side hustle is losing money, quit. If it's paying less than minimum wage, quit. If it's stressing you out, quit. There's no shame in quitting something that's not working. Your time is valuable. Your energy is valuable. Don't waste them on things that don't pay. The real side hustle. I want to leave you with a thought. The real side hustle is not DoorDash. It's not Etsy. It's not Amazon FBA. The real side hustle is building a life where you don't need a side hustle. Where your main job pays enough. Where your expenses are low enough. Where your investments are growing enough. Where you have enough. That's the goal. Not working 2 jobs. Working one job that pays well, living below your means, and investing the difference. That's how you build wealth. That's how you get ahead. That's how you become free. Side hustles can be a stepping stone. They can help you pay off debt or build an emergency fund. But they're not a long-term strategy. They're a short-term tool. And if they're not actually making you money, they're not even that. So be honest with yourself. Run the numbers. Count all the costs. Value your time. And if your side hustle isn't paying, quit. Invest that time in yourself instead. Because that's the investment that will pay the biggest return. I really hope this video brought you some value today. If it did, comment more down below. I'm reading through those to decide what topics to cover next, so definitely let me know if you want more of this. Look, here's the bottom line. That DoorDash money? It's not free. It's costing you your car's value, your time, and your peace of mind. That Etsy store? It's not a business. It's a hobby that pays less than minimum wage. That Amazon FBA product? It's not passive income. It's a high-risk gamble with hidden costs. The real path to wealth is not working more. It's working smarter. It's investing in yourself. It's building skills that increase your value. It's living below your means. It's investing the difference. So before you start your next side hustle, ask yourself one question. Is this actually making me money? Or am I just working for free? Because you deserve better than free. You deserve to be paid what you're worth. And the only person who can make sure that happens is you. Alright, I'll see you in the next one.